In this video, I'm going to cover the 5 ways that I rig my Senkos. Coming up. What's up, everybody? Derek here with the Bass Factory, bringing you the best tips and tools to help you become a better angler. If you're new here, you really should consider hitting that subscribe button. So today I'm going to be showing you my top 5 ways of how I rig up my Senkos. And these aren't the best, these aren't any other thing other than mine and the way that I prefer to rig them. And this is one of my favorites right here. This is just a Gary Yamamoto green with purple flake. It's nothing special about it. It's just trying to stay near a natural color. A little backstory on these. I was watching on the Outdoor Channel not long ago, and Jimmy Houston was fishing with Gary Yamamoto, and Gary Yamamoto had said to Jimmy that he had actually given a big pin out of his pocket to one of his plastic designers and said, here, design a bait after this. This is what I want. And thus, the Yamamoto Senko. And these are tested and true, but this is the standard name for most of stick baits because they've been around for quite a while and they've worked for a lot of people. But there's other brands out there, the Strike King Ocho, the Yum Dinger. There's other brands that work just as well, but they're I've heard of some people preferring different designs because of the composition of the plastic where they tear too easily, but it's just all upon preference really. But let's get into these and show you my top 5 ways that I rig these. Coming in at number 1, the Texas rig. This has been around for quite some time, and it's a very simple way of fishing. Just basically throwing it out, lifting your rod tip, and reeling up that slack is how a lot of people fish it. Points, anywhere along banks, brush piles, so many different ways. A lot of people will punch with these, where what that means where they're punching the lure, and they'll use heavier weights to where it gets through mats of vegetation that are on the surface. But with a Senko, there's no appendages, so really it's just kind of floating through and then coming down. And I love the Texas rig for so many different reasons, but a lot of the time that I'm using a Texas rig is on beds. In stained or muddy water, I'm searching for beds that I cannot see, and this, a lot of times, it's not going to matter so much as the lure color, as long as you stay more towards the natural in muddy or stained conditions. But I love these things on beds, and that has become one of my go-tos for catching fish on beds. All I do is I text pose this, taking the head of the bait. I just go up about, go in and go up about 1/4 to 1/2 inch, and then come out. And this is a 4/0 extra wide gap hook. But I just take it all the way to the top and then rotate it around. Find out where that hook point is going to come out. So you just kind of mark it with your fingers. Go back up here and take it straight through. And that's it. Now to actually get it where it's weedless, you just pull it up a little bit and bury it in the bait just a little bit. So when those fish come up to it and they hit it, that pressure from the hook set, it's going to go right into their mouth. And that is a Texas rig. Coming in at number 2, the drop shot. This is more of a finesse technique. When you have tough conditions and you want to catch fish, these almost always are going to catch you fish. They're not known for big fish, but they can catch big fish. The way I like to rig it is I put a barrel swivel about 10 inches to a foot above my hook to prevent line twist. And I like to go with the bigger hook. I don't like the smaller drop shot hooks, and that's just my preference. I've caught a lot of fish doing it this way, and I consider it more power drop shotting. Way I rig it is exactly Texas rigged, and that's one of the better things about doing it this way also, is it's up off the bottom, and you can actually work this thing weedless. You can pull it through weeds, you can pull it through brush piles, you can get it in the stuff that normal drop shots aren't known for getting into. And the way that I rig them is exactly the same as a Texas rig. I just take that worm, that Senko, go about 1/4 inch into it, take it all the way up to the head of the hook, rotate it, and then find where that hook's going to be coming through, and you just want to kind of mark that and then go through, and then pull up on the plastic and just barely bury that tip in there, and you've got a weedless drop shot. And if you just jiggle it, that thing's going to look beautiful to a fish on the bottom. And my weight is usually about 10 inches to a foot down, so we're pretty much even on both ends. This is a ball weight. The line just goes through there and pinches onto it. These are not known for being good in rocks, but I use them until I start getting hung up, and then I go to the more cylindrical type of weights. But I believe this is a 1/4 ounce, and this is a 4/0 wide gap hook and just a regular size brass swivel. And you should definitely give these a try, because I've had a lot of this is more of a confidence bait for me, and I've had a lot of success fishing with these. Coming in at number 3, the Carolina rig. This thing will catch you fish. I mainly fish it offshore, but you can throw it just about anywhere, because it is actually put weedless the way that I do it and Texpose my hook. But what you have is you have a weight that's up the line a little ways. You've got a bullet weight. This one's 3/8, you can use 1/2 ounce, and you can cast these things a mile to get them out there. Fishing brush piles, points, drop-offs, just about anywhere. They're very well known summertime search baits for fish that are holding to structure or out deep. In the craft section, a lot of times I'll go at Walmart and I'll get beads. So I'll put this weight up above the beads, and then I'll tie on to my swivel. I've just got a regular barrel swivel right there. And the reasoning behind that is not just protecting the knot, but it makes a little clacking sound, which kind of draws in the fish. I think it does. I'm not for sure on that. I won't verify it, but it sure seems to work. And then I take a little leader from the end of my swivel, and I've got a 4/0 hook here, just a wide gap hook. And I rig this exactly the same way as a Texas rig. Just taking that worm through the head of the hook, about 1/4 to 1/2 inch, going up it, rotating it, and finding where it's going to come out, lining that up, and taking it straight through, pulling the bait up just a little bit just to bury the tip into it. And now it's completely weedless, so you can toss this just about anywhere. Brush piles, grass, drop-offs, rock, anywhere. And you should definitely give these a try, especially during the summertime. Coming in at number 4, the weightless wacky rig. This right here is a 2/0 Gamakatsu finesse worm hook, and it is weedless, as you can tell right there. It's got a little fiber guard that goes over, and you can bend it around and put it over the hook, so whenever you're pulling it through, you can get it through the grass and everything else, and that grass will just go over the top of it. But the way that I rig these is you can just take these plastics and you can go through them just right through the middle of the bait. Find the middle of your bait and then putting it right on there. But there's a little trick that I've learned. A lot of people use the O-ring or the O-ring tool or anything like that. And what I've got here is I've got heat shrink. This is just heat shrink tubing. You can get it at almost any hardware store. This is the larger size heat shrink. And what I like to do is I'll actually cut me a little piece off. I'm using white for this example. I'll cut a little piece and go just like that. There is another version where you can use electrical tape and go around the lure and then take the hook back through the electrical tape, but this is what I like to do. See if I can do this in the wind. And you simply just get that heat shrink to where it heats up and goes against the lure or the plastic. Come on. Okay, now that thing's on there tight. I mean, the O-ring works, but this works way better. That O-ring will still slide with the lure, with the bait. This will not. I mean, look at that. I mean, it's going to tear the plastic before it even comes off of there. And I could probably tighten down a little bit, but what it does is it cinches into that thing. So then all you do after that is you go right into the bait, go into it a little ways, and come right back out. You think the O-ring works? That really works. You can probably catch twice as many fish. I know it's worked for me great in the past. And right now it's hardened. I mean, that is so tight. You're gonna catch fish after fish on that. And that's a little tip on saving you. But as you're pulling this through the water, look at the ends of that. What does that emulate in the water? I don't know, but for some reason it just attracts fish, and fish just jump all over it. But you take that weed guard, put it on there, and you've got a winning combination right there. Throw that under trees in the shade, clear water, trees that are out, just structure it's in the water, over the tops of grass. That will catch you fish, and you should definitely give that a try. Coming in at number 5, the Senko rig. And that's not the Senko rig. That actually is what we just went over. That's the wacky rig. What's cool about the wacky rig and the Senko rig is you can easily convert over a wacky rig by taking the head of the plastic and a finish nail or a nail weight and simply pushing it into the head of that plastic. And you want to try to push it in there straight and get it all the way in there. And this thing just bounces along the bottom. And it doesn't want to sit horizontal when it's in the water like a wacky rig. It more or less wants to sit straight upright to where it's just walking around. Kind of similar to a shaky head, but a different presentation from a shaky head. But it can be a deadly combination, and I've been seeing lately a lot of people catching good fish on these. And you should definitely give these a try. I've caught some good fish, similar to a drop shot because it's more of a finesse technique. But all of these ways of fishing with the Senko can be deadly. You take a Senko and you rig it up the way that you think and the way that you want. It's just these 5 ways in the past have helped me get the best fish and had the best times on the water working them. And if you take these ways and you go out there and you catch some fish, let me know about it in the comments section below. And if you've got any ideas or anything, let me know about it. And if you want to check out more Bass Factory videos, check them out here and subscribe for more videos just like this one.